In the video today, we're going to talk about 6.3, more solving two-step inequalities. So the directions here tell us that they want us to solve the inequalities, and then they want you to show your work. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to look at this. Okay, so look at the variable. And we're trying to see if the variable is positive or negative. If it is positive, we leave the inequality alone. If the inequality is negative, then we are going to flip it. So because this is positive, we are going to leave the inequality. We're not going to do anything with it. So then what we're going to do is we're going to do the inverse operation. So we're going to add 5 to both sides. That cancels this out. And then we go 19 plus 5, which gives us 24, is greater than 3x. So that 3x means times, so we're going to do the inverse, which is to divide by 3. So when we go 24 divided by 3, we get 8 is greater than x. So the one thing that you should notice about this is that this is not written in the order that we want it in. So we need to flip it. So we're going to put x first, then we're going to put 8. Now pay attention to the inequality. The inequality is eating the 8, pointing at the x right now. So whenever I rewrite the inequality here, it's got to be eating the 8 and pointing at the x. So that's going to get flipped as well. So then to graph it, we're going to go 0, because that's a positive 8. Put the 8, that's going to be an open circle, and that says x is less than. So we are drawing our arrow to the left. So what I would like for you to do now is to pause the video and solve example 2. We should be finished with the second problem now. So the first thing you should notice is when we look at the variable here, that is negative 2x. So because that is negative, that's telling me to flip this inequality. So this is going to be greater than or equal to. So that's no longer my inequality. So I've got that flipped, so now I can solve it like we did in the last problem. So we would subtract 12 from both sides. So a negative 4 minus 12. So we have the same signs, so we keep the sign. And then we add, and that gives us negative 16. And that is greater than or equal to negative 2x. So now, to get x by itself, we are going to divide both sides by negative 2. Do not make the mistake and only divide by positive 2, because then that negative is going to stay. So that gives us x by itself, and that's going to be greater than or equal to, and a negative divided by negative is a positive, and 16 divided by 2 is 8. So you will notice, once again, it's not in the correct order. So we want to go x, we want to go 8, and it's pointing at the x and it's eating the 8. So when we rewrite the inequality, it's got to be flipped as well. So 0 and then 8, and that's a closed circle going to the left. Moving on to question number 3. So with question number 3, we're still going to do the same thing. We're going to look at our variable, which we see 5 over 2. Is that positive or negative? That is positive. So we do not change the inequality. We leave it alone. So we're going to add 11 to both sides. That cancels the 11s. Then we drop the 5 over 2c. We drop the less than symbol. And then 9 plus 11 gives us 20. So now, to get rid of this 5/2, the easiest way, in my opinion, is to read this as 5 divided by 2. So because we are dividing by 2, the inverse is going to be to multiply both sides by 2. That cancels the 2's out, and then that's going to drop the 5c is less than, and then we go 20 times 2, which is 40. And now to get c by itself like we've been doing, we divide both sides by 5, and we get c is less than 8. So 0, 8, and then that's going to be an open circle going to the left. So what I would like for you to do is I would like for you to pause the video, and I would like for you to solve example number 4. We should be finished with example 4 now. So the one thing you should notice is that our variable is negative, so that's telling me that I'm going to flip the inequality. So now I subtract 5 from both sides. Then I'm going to drop this negative 2/3 b, and that's going to be less than or equal to, well, 7 minus 5 gives me 2. So same thing as what we did over here. This is 5 divided by 2. Well, this is negative 2 divided by 3. So because we're dividing by 3, the inverse of that is to multiply both sides by 3. That cancels the 3's out. That gives us negative 2b is less than or equal to 6. To get b by itself, we are going to divide both sides by negative 2. And when we do that, we get b is less than or equal to negative 3. So 0, then we go negative 3, and then that right there tells me that it's a closed circle going to the left. So please be careful whenever you're solving these. Remember that we want to look to see if they are positive or negative. That'll tell us whether or not to flip the inequality. And then whenever we get to this step right here, make sure that you read the fraction with the operation divide by. That'll let you know what your inverse operation is. So moving on to question number 5. It says if x equals 2, which inequality is true? So we've got 2 ways that we can do this. Okay. The first way that you can look at this is you can solve for each of these. Okay. So we can solve this just like we've been doing. We look right here. This is negative. So because that's negative, that means that I flip this inequality. So that would mean that I would add 5 to both sides. So then that gives you negative 3x is less than 9. And then we divide both sides by negative 3. And we get x is less than negative 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to just drop it down here. So the negative 3 is on the right side. You see how it's eating the negative 3? Right here it's eating the negative 3. Well, if we go back up here to the problem, it says x equals 2. So that means that this x right here is 2. So we're going to replace that with 2. So we're going to ask ourselves, is 2 less than or less than negative 3? The answer to that is no. It is not less than negative 3. We look at answer choice B. So we take a look at the variable. Is that positive or negative? It is positive, so we don't flip the inequality. So we add 3 to both sides. We can drop the 2x. We can drop the less than symbol. And then we go negative 7 plus 3. Well, those are different signs. We're going to keep the sign of the larger number, which is 7, so it's going to be negative, and then we're going to subtract, which gives you 4. Then we divide both sides by 2 because that's the inverse operation, and then we get x is less than negative 2. So less than, so it's eating the negative 2, so we look here, it's eating the negative 2. Well, once again, they tell you that x is 2. So we have to ask ourselves, is 2 less than negative 2? The answer to that is no. So what I would like for you to do right now is I would like for you to pause the video and I would like for you to solve answer choice C. So with answer choice C, you should see that this is negative, so we're going to flip the inequality. We're going to subtract 8 from both sides. We're going to get negative 5x is less than negative 15. And then we're going to divide both sides by negative 5. And we get x is less than 3. So once again, less than 3, it's eating the 3. Right here, it's eating the 3. Our x is 2. And so we ask ourselves, is 2 less than 3? The answer to that question is yes, it is less than. So what I would like for you to do now is to pause the video and answer choice D. So with answer choice D, it says that this is a positive 8x, so we're not going to change anything. So we're going to subtract 11, drop the 8x. We're going to drop the inequality of greater than or equal to, and then we're going to go 43 minus 11, which is 32. Then divide both sides by 8, because that's the inverse operation, and then we get x is greater than or equal to 4. So here it says greater than or equal to 4. It's pointing at the 4, so the 4 stays here. And we already know that x is 2. So then we ask ourselves, is 2 larger than or equal to 4? The answer to that is no. So the answer to this is a multiple choice question. So the answer to this is going to be C. C is our answer to this. And when you see a problem like this, which you will see on your homework and you will see on your test, this is how you need to solve them.